Welcome to Shalom World Podcast.
I was pretty young when I just really wanted to do music, or at least dream was instilled in my heart. It was all because of me just understanding my identity is found in Christ. I'm trusting you. I'm trusting you completely. It was so freeing just knowing that it wasn't in my hands. I could put in the hours, I could put in the work, I could do everything possible to become the best version of myself.
Hi, welcome to Beats. Today we're talking with Catholic musician Hannah Schaefer. Welcome, Hannah.
Hello, I'm so happy to be here.
So great to have you on the program, and I'd love to hear about your background. How did you get into music? Were you always into music?
Oh, wow. I think if you ask my mother, she put me in front of the TV in my little, thing that you put toddlers in, playpen, and I would watch Barney, and nice. I just sing and dance to Barney at one. I was probably one, and she's just always, ever since, she just was destined. But for real, I really have always loved to sing and dance and to perform and to just always had a heart for music.
That's awesome. So when did it go from Barney to this is a real thing and it's going somewhere?
I think I had probably two kind of powerful moments where I was very shifted into music. So when I was 10 years old, my mom took me to Chicago, and we went to see Wicked, the musical with the original Broadway cast. So Idina Menzel and Kristen Chenoweth, and oh my gosh, it was so magical for me. I was just so entranced by Idina Menzel's power when she sang, and I just sat there in awe thinking, whatever this is, I have to do this. I have to do this with my life, feeling there's just something so powerful about music and how it can make you feel and where it can take you and heal you. And that show was just pinnacle for me as a kid wanting to do music. I was pretty young when I just really wanted to do music, or at least the dream was instilled in my heart. Mm-hmm.
So when did you start actually writing music and performing and all that?
I started writing music probably when I was 13 years old, and I was a freshman in high school, and I was just going through what a lot of teenagers go through. You lose friends, you maybe, it was just a really dark place for me. I felt very lonely, and I just needed a friend. And I just felt this call in my heart to reach out to Jesus. And so every night, I would just talk to him, and it was almost like I could just feel him. So as a 13-year-old, I started writing poetry, and I always would take that poetry maybe to the piano and just start honestly just pouring my heart out over the keys, just play for hours and write into the night. And there was a lot of healing there. And that's when I really started transferring from poems to songs, just started writing songs and really started, I would consider myself a songwriter when I was about 15.
Wow. That's a very healthy way of dealing with all of that. Imagine if every teenager had, when they're going through that, they're talking to Jesus every night and just pouring that all out,
The Lord only knew that the most powerful way to speak to my heart was through music.
Where am I going? Wish you come, wish you'd show me. 'Cause I feel so defeated. A little clarity is all I'm needing. Oh, 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 help me trust you. Oh, 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 'cause I believe you know exactly what you're doing, where my feet are moving. I don't have to be
it's always interesting doing these interviews, like how God uses our life experiences to bring us to our calling, you know? Which, like, do you feel like this is like your calling on your life?
Oh my goodness, yes.
Yeah, this is what you were made for.
100%.
Really?
Yep.
How do you know that?
How?
Yeah. Like, how do you know that inside that, this is it? I mean, I know you shared the experience when you were 10, but like, especially doing it for God, rather than just like doing music in general, you know?
Yes.
Like, how do you know that's your thing?
It's been quite a journey trying to figure out exactly what that looked like. And I mean, I think I'm still figuring it out as like anybody else, you know, just taking each day as a gift. I was really digging into my music, and I just realized I don't think, because I actually didn't really grow up listening to Christian music, which shocks a lot of people. Because when I was growing up, we'd listen to my dad's 80s music in the car that they listened to all the time. And so I didn't really actually start listening to radio until I was in middle school. And then that's when I was introduced to pop music. And I loved pop music. It was, I mean, you know, it was fun for like a young girl who's just trying to fit in and like understand growing up. And so when I got older and I realized like I had to make a decision on what type of music I wanted to make, I thought about the two most powerful things in my life at that time. And I'm like, well, number one is Jesus, my relationship with Jesus. And then the second is music. So why wouldn't I just try to put them together? Why wouldn't that work?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's actually exactly what happened is I just decided, okay, I've never really listened to Christian music. I don't really know what that looks like, but all of my songs, like when I looked back, you know, being like 16, 17 at that time where I decided to really start pushing for that. Yeah. Every song that I had written, my soul was like, it was a Christian song. It was screaming to the Lord. And I had because like, you know, the Lord knows exactly where he wants to take you. Right. And although we may not know it, and we may feel like we're in a desert a lot of the times, like he's still there. And it wasn't until I was a little bit older that I realized, oh, like you purposefully pieced everything for me to be here in this moment. And yes, Lord. yes, Lord.
Yep, that's a good phrase to have. Yeah. Yes, Lord.
Yes, Lord. I just remember feeling very defeated and confused, and because it just felt like after I graduated, like everything was kind of in this limbo. I'm like, Lord, everyone's at college now, and I'm doing what you told me to do. I specifically remember hearing him tell me, like, you're not like, do not go. Do not go. Yeah. And I was like, what? Lord, I just had my graduation party. I was telling all these people that I'm going to college. I had a scholarship to a really incredible music program that was not common. And then the Lord said, no. Yeah, you ever feel that way?
Yeah, like, that doesn't make sense.
Yes. What? Yeah. But I just had this very quiet voice. It didn't really say anything, but it was almost like a sense I knew that I was not supposed to go to school. And that was scary because I had to walk out of the room and go tell my parents. And honestly, though, they were extremely supportive in the decision. When the Lord's calling you to do something, you listen. You just have to listen. And so that's what I did. I ventured out into the unknown and walked upon waters I had never, ever stepped in before, just trusting that he would keep me standing.
Yeah, I love your, I've watched videos of you live, and I love your energy on stage. Like, I've seen you've performed with Joe Melendrez.
Yes, I love Joe.
Yeah, I watched you two together, and I was like, that's a great fit. Because you guys are both just like all over the stage, and just like all out, jumping around. Mm-hmm. I loved it. There was one video where you were performing, and the crowd was like, kinda, you know, like starting to bob around, but then you just came out and you just like went for it and you were jumping around, and then I saw the crowd like, okay, they were like, okay, we can do this.
We have permission to move?
Right, you have permission. Yeah, exactly. Especially for Catholics, like I could just see them, like, you know? I could just see like youth groups just being like, oh,
Is it cool?
like, is this
I'm like,
okay?
yes, it's cool. Jesus is cool. Let me tell you.
Right.
Early 20s, like, I know where you were. Jesus is cool.
You got the power to keep going, going.
Did you imagine it that way, or do you just kind of get out there and it happens, or like,
Yeah.
like how does that happen?
So after I graduated high school, I decided to continue to just work on my craft and like hone in and become a better vocalist, a better performer, like dig into the word and like get to know Jesus even deeper and like how his calling for my life fit. And so I spent about 2 years just really playing out in local areas and maybe traveling like to Michigan, Ohio, Kentucky, playing shows and just kind of growing and figuring out, who am I? Who am I? Am I a quiet person? Not really, as you're learning. So then obviously I probably shouldn't pretend that I am. Like I just wanted to be myself. And I think that my spirit is just I just want people to know that they're loved. I want people to know their self-worth because I didn't believe mine for the longest time. And I don't ever want people to feel that ever. And I'm like, that's my calling, is to like help people understand how beautiful and their intrinsic value that they have on this earth. Like every single one of us is completely beautifully and wonderfully made. I just really wanted them to know that you are loved by God. You are so loved by God. And I wanted to reach people that way by just being as joyful and energetic on stage as possible.
So you just have this great passion for them to know this, and it comes out that way.
Oh yeah.
And I wanted to ask you about who I am.
Yeah.
So is that related to what you were just talking about at all?
Yes,
like
100%.
This is like who. So tell me the background of that song.
Yeah, I was actually going through this journey of self-worth, and it wasn't really until I moved to Nashville, I was living on my own. So Who I Am was actually written at a time where I was a little frustrated, just and feeling defeated too, just very emotional. I was 21-ish, and just understanding like, wow, okay, you know what, being out on your own, because I did not go to college. I jumped straight into the music industry and learned as much as possible. And then when I moved to Nashville, it was like so many different cultures, so many different expectations from people. And, making Jesus a part of my life was a choice. Like every single day you just had to know, like, okay, He's first. He is first. He is first. Because it's so easy to get distracted when you have like a goal and a dream. And I was in the state of unknown. I knew I was called to do music. I knew I wanted to sing for the Lord. I was struggling with just understanding my worth. And that's really hard to talk about the Lord and His goodness. And, when you are not in a good place, right. It's hard to be representing Christ in a better light, in the best light. So, who I am, honestly, I was sitting at the kitchen counter and I was just thinking, my heart was so heavy because I was just hearing so many voices of what, oh, I think your music should be this. Oh, I see you as this. Like they were just constantly, like, and some of them were complete lies as well. And I just heard all these voices, and I just sat down and I wrote on my piece of paper, I'm like, you do not get to tell me what my heart feels. Because I know who I am. I know who I am now.
All my life they put me in a box, telling me who I was and what I'm not. I'm not your avatar, I'm not gonna get involved. If you're gonna treat me like a trophy on the wall, I don't wanna know who you think I am. 'Cause I know just who I am. You don't know, you get to tell me what my heart feels. I'm happy being me. If you don't like it, you can step out the door. I'm not
So that's that. And then honestly, the song was written in like 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And
Wow.
Sometimes I feel like they just come. Some of my favorite songs, the Lord it just flows out. It flows out. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I understand now. Like so that actually, that whole time period when I started learning how to understand my worth and understand my purpose and living in Nashville on my own and doing long distance with my now husband and like so many things that just honestly helped me grow into the person that I am today. It was all because of me just understanding, wow, my identity is found in Christ.
Yeah. And that's the foundation. Everything else comes from that. So this song, it sounds like you're like hearing all these negative voices and not pulling in all these directions. And then this song came out of like your response to those voices. That's really awesome.
Yeah, 100%. It was a little sassy, but at the same time, it gave me a lot of peace. It was a freedom moment, really. And that's why I wanted it to be kind of an anthem, especially for people who are suffering with just feeling conflicted because of the voices. And we don't have to have things figured out. We just have to know the truth, which is, that we are His. We are His. And like nothing can separate us from the love of Christ. Nothing.
And another song I wanted to talk about was All the Way.
Yes.
So what's the story behind that song?
So All the Way was actually, honestly, like the real beginning of what started it all. I had been making a couple trips down to Nashville with some really awesome writers because I wanted, to do the Christian music thing, and what better place to really start making connections than Nashville. So as I was doing that, I was about ready to finish high school. So actually, I was doing all of this while I was still in high school.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, Lord, I think I'm supposed to go to college, but I don't really know how this direction that I had honestly been digging into, how that fits in with like the college education scene.
Right. Yeah.
I just had no idea. And so I was just, as I was down there in Nashville, I was talking about all of this fear, all of this, I don't understand what's going on. I don't know where I'm going. But I knew that God was with me, just like He had been every single day. And He would every day forward. And so that's where All the Way came to life, was when I was unsure as to where I was going to go, but just knowing that He was there. And so I can just remember it so clearly. I was like, where am I going? I wish You'd come. I wish You'd calm. I wish You'd show me.
When I look, I see it clearly. There has never been a moment when You left me. Why should I doubt You're gonna come through? You've been faithful in the sun and in the storms too. Oh, 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 help me trust You. Oh, 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 'cause I believe You know exactly what You're doing, where my feet are moving. I don't have to be afraid, 'cause You're holding me together every moment, every day. You're with
in 2015, after I had released it in 2014, it won a John Lennon Songwriting Contest for the gospel category. And that was huge for me because it put me on an international scene as a songwriter.
And you're 17, you know? It's like, most people aren't even aware of what their mission in life or why they're here, let alone like being called to it and then choosing it. So it's just, it's a totally different way to live.
It really was. It was a whole lifestyle change. It was morning I'd wake up and be a vessel. It's, okay, Lord, I'm trusting you. I'm trusting you completely with my life, with where I'm headed. But honestly, there was so much joy there, and it was freeing. It was so freeing just knowing that it wasn't in my hands. It was, I could put in the hours, I could put in the work, I could do everything possible to become the best version of myself, and I would. But at the end of the day, I could go to bed knowing I was obedient, no matter what.
I love it. Makes me want to go chase my dream.
Do it, girl. Go get it.
Oh man, that's great.
Well, speaking of who I am, I'm so excited about this. It is all centered around the theme of identity. And honestly, it's all about my journey from my teenage years into being a 20-something. What that's like to understand your self-worth and falling in love with Christ, and how that relationship pretty much shapes the way you see yourself. I just wrote specifically for young people who are struggling with that self-image. And honestly, the whole album is all about self-identity, is figuring out, okay, how do I feel about this? How do I get through this? and just understanding self-worth.
So then you get to start singing all those songs live all over the place.
Already started. Can't help it. I'm just so excited.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you.
This is great.
Yeah, this has been such a blessing.
Yeah, definitely. And keep rocking out your name, because it's the best name there is.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Beats. See you next time.
That was amazing, don't you think? Guessing who's next? Follow us on Instagram. Let us know if there's an artist you want to hear from. Drop us an email at podcast@shalomworld.org. Your donation keeps us upbeat and running so. Head over to shalomworld.org/donate and keep it coming. Learn about Shalom World podcasts on shalomworld.org. Want to know when next episode drops? Make sure you follow us at Shalom World Podcasts. Shalom World Podcasts is now available on 11 platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and others.